Welcome back. I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav.
We are back with season 3. We weren't gone long, but we definitely missed you all the same. This season, we are going to be talking about things preparing for labor maybe itself, maybe even some postpartum, just like within that realm, especially because, Hav was going through the pregnancy. Now we're obviously going to be about to go through the next step. So, with that said, let's get into today's episode. We're going to be talking all today about preparing for labor and then actually realistic things that you need in your hospital bag, because I think there's a lot of things that are suggested that just aren't, necessary. And so also I think there's things that, maybe people just don't even mention. So we'll jump into kind of our own personal preparing experiences and then kind of our essentials. So Hob, do you kind of want to start? Maybe is there anything specific? And I mean, even now that you are doing to kind of prepare for labor?
Yes, I think I'm doing a lot more than I did with Azzy. I told you I'm going to physical therapy, one that's for like the short term and trying to like be comfortable, but it's actually to make labor like I don't even want to say enjoyable, but enjoyable. Yeah. So that's a big thing for me. Granted, I think that's very like specific case by case. Otherwise, my birth plan and just trying to think like of all the things that I want to have on it. I've been talking to my doctor about my birth plan, but also like thinking about things that like I forgot to ask her, right? Like I'm going to the same hospital, so I'm pretty sure if they still have all the same things, like I know what to do, but like do they have a birth ball, things like that for when we get into talking about packing our birth bag. Otherwise, I'm not doing very much. I'm one of those people that I feel like when I overstudy and overcomplicate things, it stresses me out more. So I'm just trying to relax, get as much sleep as I can, make sure my body is healthy as much as I can, and then honestly just spend as much time with Azzy because it does add it's a little different when you have one at home. So just soaking all that time. But labor itself, yeah. And then I think planning on working on my breathing exercises, which I need to get into more. I'm at that 32-week mark. So I'm right around when they're like, do your breath work, the perineum massage. If you don't know anything about that, I highly suggest looking it up. So starting to do that kind of stuff, just like, and then I do like the raspberry leaf tea and dates. My mother-in-law makes me okra stew, stuff like that. So all the like the little things that like, do I know if they actually work? No, but anything to like help my mindset be like, this is gonna be a good labor.
I'm actually glad you brought up almost every single one of those things because, like, as you were talking about it, it reminded me of things that I did. I'm glad you brought up PT because, and like, especially pelvic floor, I'm like, I think if you are going through it, I think that's a reminder that you can prepare. Like, yes, there's mental things, but there's also physical things you can do. And to kind of add on that, like, I know I tried to do some stretching, I was trying to do some walking. I will say the next pregnancy, I do plan on doing that more. I think I really lacked on those like stretching and things like that. But like I was with you, I did the dates. I really that what do you call it? Pairing
The perineum.
the massage. Yeah. I bought the wand and everything, and I do think that helps some, but I wish I was consistent with it, but I think I should have been more consistent with it. So I'm really glad you brought that. Another thing I would also suggest, because I was someone who was so scared and like I felt like I tried to over prepare. Some things that helped me was like our hospital gave a hospital tour, so that helped me know because it was especially if you are in our area. The hospital for me was new compared to like our old hospital. So I wanted to know where to go, and I'm really glad we did because the labor unit was so far away, and which was fine, but it was like gave me like to prepare. Like once I got there, I wasn't worried, like I knew what to do, and I felt that kind of gave me some peace.
Yeah.
Another thing, I know I mentioned it in a previous episode, was reading that book just to help with like positive birth stories, like it and things like that. But also, yeah, breathing helped. I think it's one of those things you just kind of have to think about small things that you might be nervous for and like think that like help you. Like even something else I did, like, and I made Ty do, we did a CPR first aid course before to get certified because I was so nervous that, especially I knew I wanted to do baby led weaning. I was so nervous my kid was going to choke. But then I was like the other first. So, I mean, you can even think about other things that maybe it's not exactly preparing, but I felt prepared once I was going into labor because I was like, okay, I feel like I can kind of take care of this child now.
No, I think that's a great point. And those are things that I'm not doing with this one because I feel more prepared, right? And I'm same hospital, same setup. Actually, not a different setup. I actually go to a different part of the hospital is, like, all of my town, just for listeners. The emergency area and, like, now the birthing unit are on one side of town, and then my OB and where the birthing unit used to be are on a different side of town. But I did their birth classes that they offered for free. I know some hospitals don't offer them for free, some do. I knew a lot of the things that they told me, but it was just nice to go in and, like, kinda confirm, and, like, the nursing class and stuff if you plan on nursing. It's like we keep saying, like, there's so many things that, like, you actually just can't prepare for because you don't know what's gonna happen when you get into it, but having that peace of mind of, like, just knowing that you've done your due diligence to study it and whatnot. But, yeah, I feel like with this baby, I'm a little bit more like, we're just trying to see my focus is my body right now. Not to sound like I don't care about the baby's body, but that's kind of more my focus because I didn't do that with. Yeah, I was walking and I was mobile, but I wasn't in pain for any of it. This baby, I'm in a lot of pain, so feeling that, but I'm glad you brought up the birthing classes or, like, in the tour. I know a lot of hospitals do online tours too if you're not somebody who wants to go in. But yeah, I know those are
I think those are great points, and I think that you made an excellent point. I'm definitely not gonna be doing all these same things either going into the next pregnancy. So I think that's also a reminder is, like, each pregnancy is different and how you prepare will be different. I'm like you, like, there's things like I said, I did walk and I did stretch, but I felt like I could have done it better. Like, those are things I wanna do more next pregnancy, the massaging, things like that, but I'm like, there will be things I leave. Obviously, I'm not planning on doing a CPR class. I'm not planning on touring the hospital. But, like, at the same time, like you, maybe I start getting pain and stuff. Maybe I'll look at some other alternatives like physical therapy. Maybe who knows? Maybe I'll be going through depression. Not that that's the case, but you don't know what you're going to be going through during those moments. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up just because there are definitely things I will be leaving behind or potentially picking up as I'm going through it because you just don't know.
well, and there are things too that I think you hold from the first labor, like, for me, especially, like we talked about in last season, there is a lot of, honestly, trauma from my first labor, and not I really don't think it was the worst labor ever, like, I really, like, but there was a lot of things that went way that I didn't want them to or didn't expect them to, and I think a big part of that for me preparing for this labor is just giving myself grace for the decisions that I feel like I made wrong before, mentally preparing for what if those come up again, like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna feel? Also talking to my partner, talking to Tony about how long are we gonna stay home before we go in? Like, if things go the way that I want them to, am I gonna do I wanna stay at home as long as possible? Those are things that we've talked about, whereas, like, and I think for at least for my husband, he gets really stressed for me because he is like, you have such a high pain tolerance," so, like, all these things, and he gets very just like, "We need to take care of you," which is great, but letting him know where I stand with certain things, with the epidural, with stuff like that, it's almost as important as I feel like talking to our doctor about it, so then he can also advocate for me and know what's on my birth plan as well.
I think that's a good point, especially the talking about those things because, like you said, then he's prepared before you're actually in those moments. But I think it's a good reminder because like, first part, I just didn't even know what to expect. Like, I honestly, when I was going through contractions, I was like, is this what they are?" You know? And so, like, I felt so nervous. I wanted to just, like, go. And this time I'm like, I'm like you. I'm like, how long are we gonna wait? Things like that. So I think that's also to take into account. It
Yeah.
can be hard. Prepare as much as you can, but it can be hard when you're in the moment and feeling your feelings. Like, I remember being like, "Oh, I'll feel confident." And then I was, like, stressed, and I'm like, "Is he coming? Is it happening?" Like, I'm like, "What if we don't make it?" Even though it ended up being a really long labor. And I think just to add on, I had a pretty good labor too, and I still have a lot of trauma from it, honestly.
Well, and to your point of, like, going in, because I felt so confident, I don't know if you remember, I was like, "I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I know about this, and I know about that," and then I let myself second guess my confidence too, why I induced and went in, and it wasn't necessary.
Right.
So, like, that was a decision I made, so that's kind of also where I'm like, give yourself grace for, like, second guessing yourself and just trying to prepare myself to be more like, I know what I know, and I don't need to let people make me second guess myself. Thankfully, I have a different OB this time, and she literally was like, "Tell us no, like, advocate for yourself." but it can be really hard to do. So yeah, I guess for me, I think big heavy on the mental preparation. Obviously this one physical preparation too, but I would say like if you're a first time parent, this is your first pregnancy, I would definitely big mental. And then yeah, try to take care of your body as much as you can. I didn't do the perineum massages last time. I like knew about them and I did it like once or twice. I did the raspberry leaf tea. I like dates, so I just eat dates. So I was like doing those things. But and it was still fine. I wasn't like this was horrible. I should have been doing all these things. I'm gonna do them this time to try to just like support myself more. But it wasn't like I didn't do it and it was horrible.
Right. I agree. I think the mental thing is a huge because that for me, I feel like was part of my biggest roadblock is I kept telling myself I was fine, but I was still so scared about it. And I tried to prepare myself mentally. And I do think that's the biggest thing because it's like, yes, it's physically hard, very much so. But I'm like, for me, I think my biggest roadblock was my mental. And like, I definitely want to tackle that better this next time around. But also, it's funny when you say, because I was doing those things too. I was stretching and things. But towards the end, I started when I was eating the dates, I just wanted him to stay in so much longer. Like, I was
Mm.
so nervous to give birth that I was like, I don't want to be doing these things. I stopped raspberry because I was like, I don't want to make him come out sooner. And I feel like I hurt myself not doing that because I'm like, it was
'Cause it's
just
usually the opposite, right? Like
right.
people are
But
like,
I
"Come out
just,
now."
but I was so scared. So I was like, wait, if I eat too many dates, I'm like, is he just going to fall out tomorrow? I was like, I'm not ready for that.
Well, and I think that's too on like
It was a mental thing.
yeah, and what are we learning from social media versus like what is it actually? Because I think the dates and the raspberry tea are just to mostly actually to strengthen your uterus and like just help with like the recovery and stuff. I could honestly, it's been a while since I've researched it, but do your research if you have
Yeah.
any questions.
In if I can find it, there was there's like one study on dates. So that's why I think it's like do whatever because there's not enough information yet. But I think it said it also helped make labor go faster, smoother. I don't really know. If I can find the study, I will link it though in our show notes because I think it is something if you're curious about it. It's one of those things I don't think it hurts to do.
Yeah. Oh, there was something else I was gonna say. I totally forgot. But I saw something recently, like OB talking about how some women are trying to like break their water to induce labor and how that's like not a good idea. If you know about like breaking your water doesn't necessarily mean baby's coming, but it does can complicate things if you do it and baby is not coming. So just like yeah, take I mean even take what we say with a grain of salt, right? Like make sure it's what you want, make sure it's what works for your body. Like I said, I love dates, so it's kind of when I want a sweet treat, I go pop a couple of dates. I've been doing it since I was like 20 weeks though. So I just like dates. It's just yummy for me.
It's funny because I also love dates.
Most people don't like dates. So there's a lot of things that you can do if you don't like dates to make them yummy. Like you can make date brownie bites. You can put dates in your smoothies or your shakes in the morning. I've seen people like fill dates with peanut butter. I actually did this other day.
I
I
was
took
gonna say that's what I do is the Snickers dates.
yeah, but I got the ice cream topper, the shell topper, the chocolate shell topper.
Yeah.
I put that on there so I could have a little crunch and I put it in the fridge.
I like that better because I don't have a microwave because I'm psycho and melting chocolate takes a minute on the stove. So that seems, and it's more dishes. So that seems like a nice little alternative.
Yeah, it was super and it was fun. Just a little tasty, crunchy treat.
I love that. So with that, I think that kind of leads us into, we've talked about the emotional and physical. Let's kind of get into what we brought or didn't bring to the hospital bag or in our hospital bags. By the side note, this is super side note, if you're listening, if you would like a packing list, especially one that you maybe could add to or we can all contribute to, let us know. And so if you're curious, we will create one and link it and then we can all utilize it. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. If we get enough interest, we'll do that. Otherwise, I don't know, Hob, do you want to kind of start with anything you can think of top mind and then I'll kind of add in?
Yeah. Well, how about I'll start with what I brought
Okay.
last time and then
Yeah.
you can go and then I can say what I like plan to bring because I do feel like it's different. Well, okay. Do I remember everything that I brought? No, but I do remember that I overpacked extremely because I just didn't know what to expect. But I definitely made sure I brought like pajamas, comfy socks. I brought like a robe pajama thing so that after I went through labor, because I didn't buy like the labor gown, but after I went through labor, I knew that I wanted to like wear something that I could pull apart for easy access for skin to skin and for nursing. I brought the Tux pads. I
Mhm.
brought my own, like, the spray bottle. I think it's a perineum spray bottle. I brought Dermaplast. I think I brought some snacks. I brought clothes for baby. I brought like 3 different sizes. I brought diapers. Knowing me, I can't remember for sure, but knowing me, I think I brought like a blanket and pillow for Tony. Brought him like, change of clothes and all that stuff. I think we had like 2 or 3 bags, to be honest. It was a lot of stuff. And honestly, I didn't use like the thing with the baby clothes is hard because you don't know what size baby's gonna be, but I didn't need all the clothes, like the hats and the swaddles and stuff like that. I just ended up using what they had at the hospital. Diapers, I ended up using what they had at the hospital. For me, I'm a big like use what the hospital is charging you for because they're taking your money anyway. My hospital also gave me Tux pads and Dermaplast and the underwear and a perineum spray bottle. And I think I will say, like, this is one of those things that's like, it's a personal preference too. Like, if you want your own specific spray bottle, my perineum bottle was like one of the Mom Frida ones that my girlfriend bought me so that I could have something that was just like easier to use and whatever. I didn't mind the hospital one at all. I used their sitz bath, like little tub thing. So pretty much everything like medically, like to help with healing down there, I just used what they gave me. And same with diapers and same with swaddle, stuff like that. So I think I went home with like my full tux stuff like that, which was great. And I can go into like what I think I'm gonna bring next time. I think for the most part, mine's gonna be more snacks heavy, like
Oh,
focus on
interesting.
yeah, because they don't, especially if you go at least at my hospital when I gave birth, the kitchen was closed. So the food that they gave me was a ham sa I don't eat ham, not religious reasons, I just don't like it. They gave me a ham and cheese sandwich, which is literally just ham and cheese. I ate it, I needed it, but I hated it. I would say for the way that if me and Tony do it the same way before, I was out of it. I was sleeping. He was, especially during the when she was feeding every hour, he would put her on me. I would wake up to feed her and he would take her. He was up. He was up the whole night. He was making sure that mom was sleeping and that she was being taken care of. So I would definitely bring energy drinks for him. Like energy packets, energy drinks, like whatever. But I think that would help him. He couldn't sleep because the bed wasn't comfortable. So even like pillow and stuff. I think sound machine, but again, my hospital, there was construction above the labor and delivery unit. So like that was just other things. Yeah, like I think the comfortable pajamas still very important. Will I bring Tux and Dermaplast again? Maybe, probably. I'm an overpacker, but I'm not going to bring like a perineum bottle. I'm not going to bring the ice packs. They made me diaper ice packs while I
Yeah.
was there, which if you don't know what those are, super awesome. You open up the diaper and you put ice in there and it absorbs everything, so you're not dealing with leakies and stuff. But yeah, I'm not gonna pack diapers. I'm gonna use what they gave me, assuming he's not huge. But if I'm correct, I think newborn goes up to like 10 pounds.
Yeah, because I was nervous about size 2, and I brought newborn and what's the size after that? 0 to 3 months,
What
I think? I
is
think
a
I brought
lot?
both of those just to be safe. But he did yeah, I think newborn goes up to, like, 10 or so pounds.
I think so.
But if you are worried, I would bring both sizes because that's what I did.
Yeah, and just bring, a few of them. And I will say, like, this is assuming you have a partner, you have somebody with you. They can go and get stuff. It's not like they can't leave the hospital. They just can't leave with baby. But yeah, I would say big on the snacks. Like shampoo and conditioner. I really enjoyed my shower afterwards, just feeling clean after all.
It's interesting because, like, I'm with you. I'm like, I'd bring clothes for yourself, like your partner, your baby. I'd bring like my phone charger. I brought food and I didn't eat any of it. And maybe that's because we have a better cafeteria. So that's something to think about. Like, if you are a snacker, or even if you're someone who maybe has like certain health things, just bring extra snacks. You might not need them, but I think that is a great point. Something else I was thinking about, it's funny, I also brought a sound machine, I ended up not using it. I brought all the shower stuff, but the thing is I told myself before, so I showered right before we left, like, I was wet still going to the hospital. After labor, I was so tired and so sore that I did not shower until I got home. That was only, like, 2 days later. So even though I was like, I look back and I'm like, "Why didn't I shower?" You know, I'm like, "Gross," but I'm like, it felt so good when I got home to, like, shower in my own shower. So, but I'm like, I feel like I would shower the next time because I didn't like it. I just was, like, hurting. I just didn't, I was so tired, I was hurting,
So
I was
much
like,
for
"I don't want to do anything." But I do know Ty, I remember he showered. So, think about that if you do have a partner, maybe, you know, they bring extra clothes too, especially you are there multiple days. And I like that you brought up they can leave. Something else, maybe if you are doing it alone, also people can bring things to you. I had Ty's brother bring us stuff. So maybe you don't have like someone there with you, but maybe someone's willing to drop something off. So I think that
yeah.
is a good thing to note. The other thing I would say that I would probably bring is like I honestly will probably leave all the extra labor stuff. Like I really didn't, they had a ball for me. Like you said, they had all the postpartum stuff. Obviously, bring your IDs and insurance and stuff just in case. But the other thing that I did was I did bring little gifts for my labor and delivery nurses. Obviously, it wasn't necessary and that's all, but they were super helpful and super kind. So that is something that if you are feeling, you know, even if it's just like pens and like, you know, like it doesn't have to be big. Like I know on social media people give these big bags and but I'm like something small is still appreciated just to say like thank you. So don't feel like you have to break the bank, even if it's just a
Yeah.
card. Like I know I think for the doctor we just wrote a card or something. I can't remember. So that's
Mm.
something else to think about.
The other thing I would add too, because I mean, for me, snacks are important, like hydration packets.
Yeah.
I know a lot of nurses and stuff will make you like juices and stuff, but especially if you are nursing, I mean, the whole process is really draining, but I think especially if you are nursing or planning to nurse, that first 24 hours when they are attached to you, I've never felt so drained in my entire life. Just constantly, it literally feels like life is being sucked out of you. I mean, if this is your second and you nursed and that wasn't the case, I love that for you. If this is your first time, I would just prepare to feel like you can't open your eyes. But yeah, I know, and I know the shower thing for me too. I think that was, I usually am like, I'd rather just shower at home. I shit myself. So
Well, I was like, normally I would because I'm like, I hate sit, but I was like, I just remember like I had to help her like wipe me the first time. Like I remember being like, I can't even like
it was
touch
scary.
my yeah, it was scary. I was hurting. So I get you because I also my labor was not a clean labor.
I will say I was drugged up, so I wasn't feeling all the pain. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. For like when you're in the pillows for you and stuff, I think are good. The hospital bed's not
Bring.
comfortable.
Bring a pillow and bring a blanket.
Yeah, if you're getting a boppy or some kind of like sitting pillow for yourself for when you get home, I use my boppy as like a butt pillow.
Mm.
I didn't use it to nurse. I used it for healing so that I wasn't sitting like on anything. I would bring that to put my butt on at the hospital if I say I tear again.
The other thing I was thinking of, just, like, from scrolling, like, my old list, which I laugh now looking at, I'm like, I wouldn't bring 95% of this. Anyway, is I did bring a hand pump. They had helped with some parts and stuff, but that was kinda nice to have. I think, like I said, some hospitals provide stuff, so that's nice. Like, I think I took home an extra one that they gave me, and then hair ties or clips. Like, I will say, like, that's something I definitely didn't want. My hair is, like, almost always up, and I think I woulda had a meltdown if I didn't have my hair the option to put it up or down.
I did braid my hair. I braided my hair like every day.
I
Yeah.
definitely braided mine too.
And then I will say also, I know you and I are not really women that like get done up every day and like to put makeup on and like all those things. But if you are somebody who likes to do their makeup and you like to look good, especially if you're having visitors and you just want to feel like you like look alive, go ahead and pack yourself a little makeup kit. I wouldn't, I mean, I don't think you need it. I think we all look beautiful and like we're fucking champions for doing what we just did. But if you are somebody who wants to bring that blow dryer or whatnot and wants to bring the maybe for pictures for baby. I know some women like to do, or some families like to do, the name card, stuff like that.
I was literally going to say make sure to bring the name tag because
Yeah,
yeah.
if they're cute.
Yeah, I did it. I did it.
I didn't do any pictures in there. I was so tired. I don't even between the labor and the hospital and them doing construction above me, I was I'm done.
No, I get it. I when you're saying that, I'm laughing at, like, I'm picturing the photo. There's a photo, like, I think we all have one of us, like, with our baby and our husbands the first time. I hate that photo. I look unhappy and fat and, like, but you know what? Some people are like, "Wow, you look so beautiful after labor." That
I
was
don't
not my.
even think I have a picture with, like, me, Tony, and Azzy. Like, I think there's, like, a couple selfies of, like, me and Azzy, and I have pictures of him and Azzy. I don't think we'd be like, we were both just so, like
No, I get it. The only reason I do is because my mom was there.
yeah, well, and that was the other thing, we did no visitors, so I would say also your birth plan. We talked
Yeah,
about birth
birth
in our
plan.
last episode or in the last season, but I think that obviously is important. But one thing I will add to your birth plan is whether you want visitors, who is allowed to visit and when they're allowed to visit, because your nurses will you can tell them when you get in, but if you put it on that I put on my birth plan, nobody is allowed to visit at any point, and nobody tried like, I told people we weren't having visitors, but especially if you maybe have family members who don't respect boundaries, that is part of the reason those nurses are there. They will stop them, or at least they should stop them from coming in, so might be something to add.
And just to know on that, if you don't have people in and you do want photos, don't forget to ask your nurses because they very much more than likely, especially if they're not doing anything, are gonna like they'll be willing to take a photo for you. So don't feel like you have to like miss out on those moments just because you like don't want people in the room with you.
100%. I'm also remembering this. Another one, it's not a breast bag thing, it's actually if you don't know about Huckleberry, I'm not like I'm kind of anti Huckleberry app a little bit because it really pushes like the feeding plan and the sleeping plan and do what's best for you. I used it religiously for Azzy the first 4 months, whatever. But I will say, at least at my hospital, they ask you to track. If you're nursing, they ask you to track your feeding so that they can just make sure a baby's getting enough food and everything. Finding a pen and writing that down on a piece of paper and keeping that was a whole nother no, my phone was right there. So the Huckleberry app actually really helped me with that because I could just press start and stop and be done. And then when the nurse came in, I would just show her. So downloading that beforehand, and especially if you do want to start tracking feeding and like, I mean, they're newborn, they're literally a day out, so you're not gonna be like, "You can't eat." But I think the Huckleberry app, at least for somebody like me, is nice those first couple of nights because I'm not calculating how many hours it's been since they ate. I will track when they started, I'll hit when they stop. I can give it to my partner, he can do it, whatever the case, and then when the nurse comes in, "Here you go."
I think that's a great point because I totally forgot about that, especially if you didn't know because I didn't. Most babies obviously lose their birth weight and then you have to get it back up to it and then obviously continuing the growth. So that is a great suggestion because it can be really hard, especially when you're already tired and you're already overwhelmed in that phase. So I love that suggestion. And I think that is just kind of a reminder, like, don't overthink it. Don't overthink the bag, like there's just think about the essentials, think about what you need. Like if you're someone that's like Hoff said, you need the makeup, you need all the rug and the essential oil, whatever it is, do it. But just don't think that you have to have everything. Like I definitely thought I did. And we came out fine. We got to come home. Like, yeah, just it's okay to overpack, but just remember, like, you don't need to. Even as we're talking now, I'm thinking about things I'm not going to be bringing. And it's just a reminder that all experiences are different, including like, if this is your first kid, your next kid could be different, things like that. So definitely just think about what you need. It's not about being perfect. It's just kind of about bringing and preparing for you and like what you need, what your baby needs, if you have a partner, what they need. Like, I would just say think for comfort and think for practicality. And if it's overwhelming you, keep it simple and it'll be okay. Because honestly, you'd be surprised how much the hospital has on hand. Like Hob said, the peri bottles, the dermoplast and the tuck, like they have so much. And obviously, like don't just like expect, that they'll have it, but don't feel overwhelmed because they do have a lot more than you think they will. So, I mean, with that, Hob, do you have any other kind of like notes?
I would say if you're worried about it, you can ask your doctor, your OB, what they have there for you. Like I said, like the bounce ball, the stuff like that. Also, I'm a big like make your partner pack his own shit or her own shit or whatever. Like if that's something that you don't want to worry about. And then if they forget something, then they forget something, stuff like that. But like we're there for one reason, this baby, honestly, and mom. And so yeah, pack what you think will make you comfortable. And if you walk in there with a rolling suitcase and a duffel bag and do you, boo? Like I said, I think I brought like a rolling suitcase or I brought 2 bags or something. Like,
We brought enough. I think Ty had to go back to the car to get the rest of the bags. Like,
oh
I
yeah,
think he
Tony
had
went back
like
to it.
2 trips. And I remember we were leaving and I was like, I don't even think I opened 2 of the bags. And I
Oh, no,
remember
hindsight
being
2020. I'm like, I think I like used like this much of the
that's what I
actual space.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, I brought like multiple pajamas, wore one. I think my nurses saw me naked the whole time,
I
but
can't even describe how uncomfortable I was. I felt naked just constantly. And I told you my door room was open and people would just like peek in, and I'm like, my hoo-ha's just facing the door and I'm like, hello.
literally like, here I am.
It's hard being in this town. Like, and if you're listening to this and you're from a small town, it's like you likely know these people and their spouses and stuff. And you're just like, oh, here you go. And I know it's their job and it's a medical thing and it's fine, but it's just funny to experience it, especially when you're like us. Like that stuff makes me uncomfortable.
Which is funny. I was like, I don't care. When they put me in the hospital gown, like, I was like, I'm not tying the back.
I mean, I did it. I couldn't care at that point, especially. And I think if you are someone, once you're like in deep labor, you'll understand. There's a certain point where you're just like, here we are.
Well, I guess that's the difference here. I'm like rural, but the town's actually not actually small. And I don't really know anybody here because I'm new here. So I'm also like, you want to see my ass?
you know. But if you have any additional hospital bag tips, definitely send them our way. And I mentioned earlier, if you are curious to have like your own list with essentials, like I said, we will link one. Let us know, especially because I think it'd be fun if we all added to it because we all have different needs and essentials and it's kind of fun to see. It's one of those things, take what you need, leave the rest. Yeah. So, I mean, with that, honestly, you'll probably forget something, to be honest, and that's okay. But you are bringing the most important thing, you and your baby, both there and back. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. If this episode made you feel a little less alone, send it to a mom friend who might need it too. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It really does help more moms find us and find the show. We want it to reach more people. So until then, next week, we will be diving into nesting, especially as you get later into pregnancy. So with that, remember to keep your kids alive and your coffee hot, or at least reheated once. Bye.
Bye.